What's up, everyone? Tyler Tamboline here, aka Toe Tag and Tambo, back for another edition of the Strokes Gain Show here over at Run Pure Sports. Got my guys Snyder and Uncle T with me as always. We're gonna jump in. Much better event for the swing season, the best of the rest, at least as far as I can tell, that we're gonna see. So we're gonna get into it in a second here. The Worldwide Technology Championship at Mayakoba. Bang, got it on the first try. So before we get into it, want to remind everyone to hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, talk about that throughout the show and some other segments. But let me bring my guys in here first. And Uncle T, I'm going to start with you. What's going on, my man? How you doing this week?
Yeah, feeling pretty good. It's always good to be, I look forward to this show every week, like you guys do. Us being, kind of golf nuts. We enjoy it, whether it's a major week or whether it's a week like this, where again we talk about it all the time. That we do have pretty strong field for this event for sure. But there's a lot of money still to be made. There's some big contests out there week after week on both FanDuel and DraftKings, and I'm always happy to come on and break these things down with you guys. And I think we've had some really good content the last couple of weeks. I know, Tambo, you're going to talk about here in a moment, maybe a couple of our big winners that have hit recently. Oh, yeah. So no, it's looking forward to it. Like I said, we talked off the air just momentarily. We just got a couple more weeks here to go. And then obviously we take a little bit of a, 4 or 5 week break leading into the Century Tournament of Champions in Hawaii. So no, looking forward to it. And good seeing you guys again.
Yeah, for sure. We're going to stick with this structure. We talked about, yes, this week and 2 more weeks after it up to the RSM, myself, Snyder, Uncle T, Tuesday, 8:30 Eastern, as you're joining us here now. We appreciate you. So join us with that, but we will have a full regular season. We'll get to the content schedule later on and let you guys know what's going on with that. We're going to have a lot more shows, a lot more Showdown content, myself and Snyder involved in it, just a ton of PGA stuff. But we got a lot of other stuff going on, and I'm going to make you wait. We'll get into it for a second, but I'll bring in Snyder first. Snyder, my man, I love your background. Looks very familiar. I love this background we got. Shout out Helmet Head. But what are you saying over there, man? What's going on with you this week?
Hey, it's going good here. Off of a pretty good week. I mean, nothing too big. I just played 50 lineups in that $5 last week. I ended up basically breaking even. I think might have lost like 10, 15 bucks, but overall it was all right week. I just didn't have the right combinations. Only had about 6 or 7 of those being 6 of 6s. So I was a little off on my plays, but a couple of bad things happened, and we're ready to jump back into this. We got a nice little birdie fest here with a stronger than expected field. So definitely excited to jump into this event here.
Yeah, the R and RPS on this show definitely does not stand for recap. Forget the Bermuda Championship. We're not going through that wasteland of what was. Good for Lucas Herbert and everything that went down, but we are going to hop into it. We'll get to it here quickly, guys. Before we jump in, want to talk to you guys about Members Never Win. That's our segment. We always go through it here. We had a winner just a couple weeks ago, actually, Birdie Monster, took himself down 100K. That was in PGA. So even during this swing season, we're still rolling the shows, the cores, the tiers, everything on the site. And then, of course, if you're not already in there, you want to be in the Discord, you can jump into it. Some other winners, we had NFL, we had Hoop, and Club Camcol. If you didn't watch Club Camcol on any of our golf shows, again, we'll give you the code in a minute. You guys can get signed up for sure. You're going to want to hop in, especially during the regular season. But with everything else that we've got going on, all sports, one price. Of course. So those 2 guys, well, it's almost 3 guys because Hoop won it. It was 193,000. And then Club Cam put it in twice. So nice. He dropped it in twice, got himself 193K times 2. Said he was doing a little bit of playing out on the golf course, having a couple of drinks maybe. And next thing you know, it was in there twice and he shipped it 2 times.
How good do you have to run, Tambo? How good do you have to run to be Club Camcol when he's out golfing, having some drinks, and he enters the same nut lineup twice? I mean, how good do you have to run?
Oh, it's pretty easy. That's called running pure. And if you guys want to run pure, you can do it too. You can sign up at Run Pure Sports. Use promo code RPS Heater 25. So you guys can get signed up. Make sure that you've got the code in there. I just want to double check something right quick on the code. I always mess this up, Simon. Bring it again to, RPS Heater 25. I don't mess things up. I got it right the first time. So use that code. Get yourself 25% off your first month. Hop in. Like I said, you'll want to get in because the Discord is loaded. But guys, everyone's here for the picks, the plays, the strategy, the theory. Talk to me, Snyder, first. I'll kick it to you. Just this event in general, anything you know about it or think is important, and then anything you want to talk about as far as just the grand scheme of things before we get into the actual tiers and go through the players.
El Camino is par 71, just over 7,000 yards. We expect another birdie fest here as the past winners have combined at an average score of 17 under. They have the easiest par threes on tour here as they play more on the shorter side of things. The winning formula has been just mainly find fairways off the tee and have great approach play. I mean, you need to hit these greens. Last year, Hovland only missed 11 greens this whole week as he won the previous edition of this. He shot 20 under. The rough is on the shorter side of things here. It's only going to play at around 2 inches in length. The past palm greens here are very receptive. Uncle T is going to love this fact about these rare past palm greens because we're going to see some higher than normal level of salt in these greens as they're found on these oceanside tracks. So Uncle T just loves when we get these salty past palm greens here. A little more grainy, kind of like a Bermuda type grass. Some of the key stats I'll be looking at this week: strokes gained approach, fairways gained, birdies are better gained, and hitting greens in regulation. That's mainly here. I've got some interest as we'll dive into this. I'm looking at a few guys up top, which I'll get into, and I think we have some good value in this event too. So I'm looking forward to diving in.
Yeah, lots of ways you can go about it too. I think you brought up a good point there. There is some value plays, and Uncle T's dying to talk about them. We're not going to go in reverse for you, Uncle T. We'll get to them later. He said he got a guy way down low that he really likes this week, so stick around for that. That's going to be good. Appreciate you guys hitting the like button. We have one of the highest like to watching ratios so far, so I like to see that. We know it's Tuesday. We know it's a swing season. We know there's other sports going on, but we're still here for you, and I know a lot of you catch this show later or before you get your research in for Thursday at lock, so you can always hit the like button. Then make sure you hit the subscribe button as well. Big red button, bottom right corner. You can't miss it. Very easy to hit. But Uncle T, same question to you. Just anything for this week stand out for you? And then if you want to chime in too, anything with the weather? I know last week was a crazy wave advantage. Here's not the exact same, but there is possibility, of course. So anything in general that you want to talk about before we get into the plays by position?
Yeah, I think I've been a little bit snake bitten by the weather situation in 2021. It feels like I typically don't, and Schneider and I talk quite a bit, off the air. And, I tend to not pay too much attention to it unless it's really exaggerated one way or the other. Cause it feels like it's come back to burn me more times than not. Last weekend, I didn't hear at all. I don't know if you guys, I know we didn't talk about it, of there being one, but wasn't the Thursday, Friday, or the waves Thursday, like 3 strokes different, better in the afternoon. So that's huge. And that's probably why my lineup sucked so bad last week is I had a lot of those early guys on Thursday, but so it didn't work out for me there. But, I don't know that it's a huge weather edge either way. Schneider, I don't know if you have seen any early forecast. I haven't really dug too deep into that with the NBA and baseball tonight, so I haven't really looked. But to answer your question, Tambo, about this tournament and maybe kind of a feel of how I want to do it. Last week, I think I was trying to build and trying to jam a couple of those studs in, and then maybe take definitely an approach that most people wouldn't have done, which is maybe avoid the 8 and 9K range altogether. And that's kind of what I did, and it didn't work out for me last week. So this week, I think just based off of what we're going to go through here in the next 45 minutes or an hour, I think I'm going to go for sure with one guy up top, and I think it's going to be more of a balanced approach for me this week. But I do like a couple guys under the 7K range.
Yeah, and I'm okay with that for sure. I think that's one of the things. So last week, we mentioned it a little bit just about, in anywhere that there's going to be wind like that and weather potential, then get after it and have some of them. But let me tell you, like I said, we're not going to recap it. But you know me, I was balanced already. I played a bunch of those guys in that range. I played some wave advantage lineups, and I still didn't get there, Uncle T. So it didn't matter in the end is what I'm trying to say. But this week, what I like to do is kind of what you just said. I do like a little bit more balanced approach. You guys will see it as we go through the tiers, not positions. Obviously, they're all golfers. They're all singularities. But when we get through the pricing tiers, like I said, I'll be a little more balanced, and I take a lot more stands in a little bit stronger field event. Not that this is the strongest. It's not a Memorial or a U.S. Open or something, but much stronger than what we're used to seeing in the swing season. And why I say that is because I think a lot of people do like to find, and I've mentioned this in the past, their diamond in the rough. Oh, I got this guy at 6,200 that's going to unlock the slate. And once I have him, I'm good to go. And then you still got to get everything else right. So I try and have a little bit more. It has become key that, and not, this isn't, this is common sense, but the 6 out of 6s are almost more important than finding the diamond in the rough. That sounds stupid because we know it's about, they say the 6 of 6 is obviously the most important. I agree. I'm not just saying that. I'm saying I focus more on that aspect within my lineups than trying to find the 6K guy that's going to go on to finish top 5. That to me is a lot more challenging than just finding lineups with 6 out of 6 equity and having myself a chance to get there and then hope that my lineups that do get through have a good weekend over there and be able to make some noise. So let's get right into it, though. Let's hop into it. Snyder already talked about the stats he's looking for. I agreed with most of those. Fairways, approach, greens, greens and regulation, birdies are better. All of that makes a lot of sense to me. I think one more to add in before we drop into the first tier is just that some of these guys that are longer usually can club down or will club down here, and that they can have totally different stats based on dropping down in clubs, so that some of the stats you're looking at, you might want to make sure you're gearing it towards the courses. Myself, I use Fantasy National. I talk about it all the time on the Fantasy Golf Degenerates podcast with Kenny Kim. Using that, I can change it over to the courses that are shorter, tree lined, that guys might be clubbing down on, what their numbers are over on those courses. And that can make the stats change completely than what you might be looking at just on a blanket statement of these stats, these guys. So Snyder, I'm going to start with you. We've got a wider 5-figure range than what we've seen, at least lately, maybe not the normal, but quite a few guys from Brooks Koepka all the way up to Justin Thomas. What are you doing here in this range? Who are some of the guys that stand out for you?
Yeah, I've got some interest in at least one guy for sure here. Starting off with Justin Thomas, so he's fully priced up here. I just don't see myself getting to him here, as he's been a little more hit or miss since winning the Players' Championship last year. He did finish 12th here in his first appearance, or his last appearance for that fact. Just don't see myself paying that 11.2 price tag for him. I mean, the guy right underneath of him, I have some interest in. Victor Hovland, he's back to defend his title here. And like JT, he's been a little hit or miss down the stretch of the last season, but did finish 5th at the Tour Championship. He's back to He's back to defend his title here. That struggling around the greens game has really caught up to him again down the end of this stretch of the season. So that kind of worries me here. He's lost strokes putting in 5 of his 6 events too. I mean, that worries me. He's definitely a guy I'm going to consider, but I'm going to have to look into him a little more as this week progresses. The guy I like the best is right underneath of him, Abe Answer. He's got the home game here. He's back in his home country. He's got great course history here, 12th, 8th, 21st, and a 9th in his last 4 trips. He's gained over 6 strokes total in all 4 appearances here. He broke through with that win back in August at the WGC, so I think he could really break through in his home country for his second win here. I like that for sure. Did well in his last couple events, the CJ Cup as well. I like the price tag with him and the upside. He's definitely going to be my top play in this range. The guy underneath him I'm looking at is Tony Finau. I think he's a really good option for like GPPs. He's kind of got a mixed bag of results here, going 8th missed cut, 16th missed cut, and 7th in his last 5 trips here. The approach play has been strong over his last 4 events, and that's coming out better. He's been better off the tee too as of late, so definitely going to consider him for GPPs. Billy Horschel, his game's been trending towards the end of the season. His game's been coming right back up. He's got really good success at this track too, finishing 5th and 8th in his last 2 trips. So I think I'll be looking to him at the bottom of this range. I can't see playing Koepka here. I mean, Koepka's probably going to treat this as a vacation again. Him and Jenner will probably be sipping on some margaritas and whatever else they're doing here in Mexico. But that's mainly it for me in this range. Definitely Abe Answer. And then I'm going to look at Hovland and Finau and Horschel. I'll probably pick one of those 3, but I'm not sure where I'm going to be yet. I'll have to let you know in Discord as the week resumes.
Yeah, I like some of those calls there. I think it was interesting. I watched the Rick Gaiman, Victor Hovland interview, and he's just a extremely interesting guy. I talked about that this week on the podcast. I love the interview. It was only half an hour. Great little watch, but the one thing that I don't know if it's narrative based. It's hard to go and base it off of this, but he's got a lot on his plate, man. He was even going to go to Japan and play Zozo. He had to skip that because he's got so much on the go with his next 3 events and then going back on vacation to Norway. He said, like, it's just tough to say, and defending champion and all the stuff that goes on with that. So I'm kind of with you. Speaking of Zozo, we saw Hideki go get the job done in his country. Why doesn't Answer go get it done? He broke the seal. He got that WGC, won a big event for his first win on the PGA Tour. So I really like Answer up here. And then you mentioned him a little, Billy Horschel, and I'll kick it to you in a second, Uncle T. I just, my picks are quick up here. I'm going more balanced. But Billy Horschel did not win the BMW championship that was in the playoffs, but he did win the BMW PGA championship overseas. So maybe some probably won't know that. A little bit of the Ryder Cup snub. And I think he's probably the only person on planet Earth that thought he might have got snubbed, because I don't think he was ever going to make that team. But just in general, he went out after it. And after that had happened, and went and got the W overseas, playing some really good golf. And if he's one of the guys up top, has some of the most rounds on the similar comp courses that go here. And if you look at his numbers across the board, he's one of the best in the field, and one of the better guys in the top 6 here of all the stats across the board that line up for this course. And I think if you just think about it in general, some of those par fives and stuff where he's just going to put it in the fairway, lay it up, get it up there and make birdie, that's still going to come in handy. All those birdies rack up and give yourself a chance to be in contention as the weekend goes on. So for me, it's Answer. And it's Hovland. Still debating on JT. Head on over to Run Pure Sports. Use the promo code RPS Heater 25. You guys want to get in the Discord, get the final cores, tiers, everything that we got going with it. But Uncle T, talk to me here, man. What do you got going on up in this 5-figure range?
Yeah, you guys bring up some good points about these guys. Schneider broke it down very nicely. Justin Thomas, I'm a Justin Thomas guy, but like Schneider said, it's just been just a little bit off the last couple of months. This is I think this is his 3rd trip here, but his first, he had a T12 here last year. I think he might've competed here in like 2015 or so, but I do know he tied the course record in the 3rd round last year with a 62. So we know he can go low on this course, but I'm with Schneider 11-2. There's a lot of guys that we're going to like a little bit below to start our teams. And I think I'm going to start probably with either Victor Hovland or Abe Answer. Obviously Hovland, for the reasons you guys mentioned, sometimes I don't like to play the defending champ, but I think Hovland could be a little bit different here. I do think he'd be a tough fade though, because I could easily see him going back to back. He's rested since his T18 at the CJ Cup, which again was only a few weeks back, but hasn't played since that T18. Abraham Answer. Now, if this tournament was a couple years back when, he was getting all the hype of trying to win it in his home country and stuff like that, I may have come off of him, but I think he's a totally different golfer right now than he was, the last couple of trips. And he's played very well. He just hasn't gotten through, to win the golf tournament. So I do like Abe Answer, but probably my favorite guy in this range, and I don't know that you guys mentioned a whole lot about him, but Tony Finau. I think he's the safest, in my opinion, as far as a plug and play here. I just look for a big year out of Tony Finau. We were on him at the beginning of 2021. He went through a terrible downstretch where, boy, we were really trying to figure out whether we were going to play him at all, right? Top 5 Tony or top 10 Tony, and he couldn't get it done. But I do think his confidence has soared. He won a golf tournament. He competed it and got the feel of the Ryder Cup atmosphere. I think he's a totally different golfer now, and I think we could easily see him win 2 or 3 times this coming year. Now, the bottom 3 guys I think are the most interesting. Koepka, though, is one I agree with Schneider. I just, is he going to be motivated? That's always the question with Brooks. We say it on here all the time. He had a T38 at the CJ Cup. Jenna's probably with him partying this weekend. He is going to be an easy fade, but I do think the 2 leverage plays, especially from an ownership standpoint, are definitely Terrell Hatton and Billy Horschel. I'm showing them both right now under 10%. I'm seeing Horschel at like 6%. I don't know if that'll change. I would assume it'd go up just a little bit between now and Thursday morning, but I don't have as much interest in Hatton, but you guys kind of sold me on maybe putting Horschel in there. I didn't necessarily coming into the show have Horschel in there. I just felt like even though he's been playing well, he grades out well. It just felt like a pretty big sticker shock for me, to pay 10-1 when I could just go up, $500 to Finau or 6 to Answer. And I think it's a better play. But so to kind of recap, I kind of maybe putting Horschel back in my pool. And then Finau is my top guy in that range, and I'll probably decide between Hovland and Answer. But right now, it's probably Hovland. I think he could easily go back-to-back here.
Yeah, what's funny is that you say that, and you go look at the numbers. Hovland's best finish recently was 5th at the Tour Championship. Billy Ho was right on his ass in 9th. And then if you go back before that, all the numbers for Billy Ho went and got a win overseas. Has other numbers in the WGC. He beat Hovland. All that. It's sticker shock for the name, but maybe he's the right Ho to play this week. You got Hovland and Horschel, the double HO, and I might go with the Billy guy. That's who I'm going to roll with this week. Billy.
Yeah,
Ho.
I mean, if you're definitely leveraging Tambo, there's no question. You go there's no doubt. You get the savings and you get the leverage as far as the less owned. Oh, there's no question. If you're just a 1v1 and you're looking at those 2 metrics, there's no doubt you would go Horschel here. But I don't know. I played they played up the Horschel, Ryder Cup snub. I mean, that was how long ago? 4 or 5 weeks ago. He won over, like you said, in the Euro BMW. I mean, how long are we going to try to play that narrative? He could easily,
no, I'm just saying
here.
he beat Hovland at all those other spots, or did just as good as him or better in some of them. And
he
for
has
me,
good
it's
course history. So yeah,
it's not the ownership. The only reason Hovland's getting talked about here is not just because he's obviously a good golfer, a great golfer, but because he won here last year. So that gets amplified. And to be honest, like I said, if I'm going up there, I'm just paying for JT. I don't care about anything else, what his putter's been doing, anything, got bones on the bag. All these factors don't matter to me. I just think he's better still. Doesn't matter about what he's been doing lately. So for me, answer Horschel and maybe JT. Let's move, though, down to this 9K range. You got a pretty nice range, but it is smaller. Scheffler down to Taylor Gooch. And Snyder, I'll go back to you. What are you doing here in this 9K range?
Yeah, I'm going to make some stands here. I'm really only looking at 3 guys in this range. And first off, it's going to be Aaron Wise. I've been riding Wise for the last couple of months now, and he's treated me really well. And now he comes in off back-to-back top 10s and a top 26 in his last 5 events. Wise finished second in his last appearance and 10th back in 2018 here. Wise is averaging over 4 strokes gained tee to green in his last 10 events, and he's also gaining strokes across the board in his last 10 events as well. I think Aaron Wise makes for a really good play here. I don't think many people are going to go to him, seeing him price up this high, so I really like going right back to my guy Wise here. Matthew Wolf's another guy. He's looked good in his 2 events this season. He kind of had a rough stretch last season, but it looks like he's found everything out and has some better ways going heading into this new season. 17th at the Sanderson Farm. Comes off a close call, that runner-up finish at the Shriners. His iron game is definitely back. He's gained 1.5 and 3.8 strokes in his last 2 events and has gained 6.8 and 12 strokes total in those 2 events. So I definitely think we could see a resurgence of Matthew Wolf heading into this new season in some of these weaker type, easier type tracks to help get his confidence back and get that good mojo flowing. And the last guy I'm going to look at in this range for my pool will be Taylor Gooch. I kind of hope people shy away from him as well. I mean, we haven't ever seen Gooch price in this 9Ks, I don't think. I think this is definitely the highest price I've seen him, I think. But I haven't looking back too far. But it comes with good reasoning, though. He's went 5th, 11th, and 4th in his last 3 events. Been really strong tee to green. Gained 5.1, 8.8, and 8.8 strokes in his last 3 events. The irons have been on fire, and I just definitely like going back to Gooch here. It's just going to be simple for me in this 9K range. I'll be looking at Wise, Wolf, and Gooch here, and that's going to be pretty simple for me in this range. Just rolling with the guys I've been rolling with.
Yeah, couldn't be more opposite. It's crazy. You kept naming guys, and I was like, I'm waiting for him to name one of the guys I'm on. But I'll get to it in a second here. For those that are watching,
they're all alone then.
Yeah. Oh no, you could be on your own island here. For those watching that are here, we do appreciate. I know some of you are sweating some NBA. LeBron's still a game time decision, but is expected to play. So if you need that extra news, we got you here at Run Pure Sports. Uncle T, I'll get to my guys. I think you can tell the range is so small that I'm different with, because I have none of the same guys as Snyder in there, but I'm not going too heavy in this range anyway. But who do you got in this 9K range?
Yeah, I'm definitely a little bit lighter in this range as well. So full disclosure there. Before I get there, Tambo, you might have mentioned it, but if there's anyone in our live chat on Discord live chat, start throwing some questions in there. We'll try to get to as many as we can at the end of the the feed here. So, but no, going up. I know you didn't talk at all, I don't think, Schneider, about Scotty Scheffler. I know he's been a frustrating roster at times. T38 at the CJ Cup, he finished T18 in his only trip here a couple years back. He's been kind of up and down a little bit. Obviously, the Ryder Cup, that if we want to keep going back to that, where he had his emotional high beating, John Rahm on that last day and such. I don't know what to make of him, and I'm hoping maybe when we get to Tambo can maybe talk me into or out of him, because he's the one that right now I'm not really sure what to do with. But going down, I get the Wise call because again, it's definitely a sticker shock with him, but his numbers and the price tag that he's been given this week on DraftKings is very warranted. It's very warranted. If you look at it, I mean, he's got 3 straight two straight top 8s, a 5th, an 8th, a 26. He's got good course history. He almost ran down Victor Hovland last year in this tournament on Sunday. I think he might have lost by a stroke or two. I'm not really sure. I don't have that in front of me, but I know he almost tracked him down. He's been really hot. And he's a guy too that's been just been getting hot at the right time. I mean, he gaining a lot more confidence. But the guy I like probably the most here is Shane Lowry. He's a guy that I think had a pretty solid 2021 season. Just didn't have really the high, I wouldn't say high end results, but he didn't get the wins to show for how well he struck the ball in that last calendar season. So for me, in this range, Lowry will be my favorite. Matt Wolff, I get it, Snyder. I don't know. I just feel like I need to see a little bit more consistency out of Wolff before I pay 9,200 in a pretty, stacked upper tier of this field. Will Zalatoris is a guy I think we can get some leverage for the people that may like Wolff or even Gooch right below him. Zalatoris is a guy that I've been on, and he's been hurting me, quite frankly. But this week, I think where, again, he's only had one top 11 finish in his last 11 starts. So you're probably thinking, well, how in the world would I ever be on him? But I don't know. I think he's going to be in my player pool, Tambo. And Taylor Gooch, again, I get that call as well, Schneider. But for me, I want to know what you guys think about Scheffler. I know, Schneider, you didn't mention him, so you probably don't like him. But Lowry and Zalatoris probably are my two favorites in this range.
Yeah, and I like those guys. Chime in on Scheffler if you want there, Snyder. Any thoughts?
I'm on a miss it.
Good or bad? I know the guys you're playing, let's just say this, are all capable, so it doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
But what are your Scheffler thoughts?
I really just don't have much thoughts on Scheffler up here. I think I would just rather play those guys. I think my guys are going to be kind of lower owned. And I think what's helped me have probably the best year ever in PGA last year was once I get on a guy and they keep treating me well, I just keep going right back to them until they hurt me. It's kind of like being on that roulette wheel, kind of. When red keeps popping up every time, everybody, like the public, starts hitting black, I'm just going to keep hitting red until it hurts me. I mean, I'm just going to keep riding with my guys. And once they let me down, maybe I'll look to get off. But I mean, if they're treating me well, I mean, I don't even look at the price tag in golf. I mean, anybody can win in golf. So I just look to ride with my horses,
Yeah, no, I hear that. And it's one of the sports, probably the best sport to do that, because when your game is on, this as playing a bunch of golf, when your game's on, it's on. And when it's off, it can be way off. And that's when it's time to hop off. So you do make a good point. I like Scotty Scheffler for sure. I just think in general, it's more of a talent play, talent and upside. So the guys I'm going with here, two of them are him and Will Zalatoris. So Will Zalatoris at the bottom. Uncle T just mentioned everything I was kind of thinking, but funny enough too, the weird thing about it is, so the big problem with Will Zalatoris on the Korn Ferry Tour back in before was that he couldn't make a lot of putts, and that's why you saw him have a lot of top 10 finishes, but not close out events. And it's been the same on the PGA Tour, but he's not expected to close out these events so soon. But he is a much better putter on these correlation courses that go with it, even on a solid number of rounds. I got him out here for 4 different tournaments on correlation courses, and he's ranking top 20 in the field on putting on those courses on top of his normal game and upside. And then don't forget, this is a guy that had to play that whole season out, Rookie of the Year, with not being able to gain FedEx Cup points. And now he can come out and just rack them up early and often and be able to make sure he locks that down for the end of this season. That I think it's just going to be a coming out party for Willie Z. And this could be the spot. So I like Willie Z. And then I like the Lowry call that you had there, Uncle T. Not my favorite in this range. I like Scheffler and Will Zalatoris better, but I think he's a great play. Makes sense across the board, has the stats to show for it. And he's just a guy that is typically a little bit underrated. A couple guys, even Brooks Koepka has been on record saying, you guys don't rate this guy well enough. Like, he's a much better golfer. And this was back when Lowry fended him off to win the Open in his hometown. To talk about pressure, a major, your first in your hometown type of thing, down the road type thing. So I just think that's just talking about talent. And at 9,300, he makes a lot of sense to me as well. So that's the 3 guys I would like in this range. Go ahead. Did you say something, Uncle T?
No.
Oh, I thought you were wanting to chime in. No problem.
Oh, no, I'm good.
I'll stay with you, though. We'll go right into this 8K range. We got Bezudenhout, our guy JSU's favorite. Busenhauser, he calls them, down at 8K, going right up to the top with Cameron Tringali at 8,900.
Yeah, I mean, to start this range off, I kind of like, for the most part, the lower part of the 8K range, but I do like Cameron Tringali at 8,900 quite a bit. I'm, as you guys know, probably pay attention to the Vegas odds in golf more than probably I should as far as, pricing and odds, but he's 28-1 right now. And he's the 16th priced golfer as far as like down the board. You know what I mean? So 28-1 feels like a pretty good buy for a guy that's been fairly consistent for quite a while this year. He's rested since his T2 at the Zozo a couple weeks ago. So Cameron Tringali, I like quite a bit at 8,900. But then there's a dead range for me. Again, I go down, not dead range, but the next few guys, I'm kind of off Fitzpatrick, although I get it. I understand it. 8,800 feels like a fair price for Fitzy in a field like this. I don't think he's overpriced. I don't think he's underpriced. I think it's a fair price. He won at Valderrama a couple weeks back, and he's playing some good golf, but he disappointed last week as a favorite, right? At finishing T30. So not on him. I'm going to skip down to Alex Noren. I think he, a couple weeks ago, he finished, T59 at the CJ Cup, I believe, when I was on him. And he kind of disappointed me a little bit, finished T18 last week. So I do like a little bounce back spot for Alex Noren. A couple of other guys in this range. Keegan Bradley, again, playing some good solid golf. T7 at the Zozo again a couple weeks ago. Don't mind the $8,300 price tag on Bradley. And then I got a couple guys here that I think you can take one or the other. One's maybe a direct pivot off the other if you look at it from this standpoint, because they're both, I'm showing 20 and 18% ownership. So similar ownership, Russell Henley and Schneider and I's boy Mito Pereira, who we've been on quite a bit. I'm going to side with Mito in this event. He's been just okay the last few weeks. He's probably pretty safe to make the cut. He just hasn't had those finishes that we would like as far as getting maybe into those top 15 or top 10 finishes. But I think I'm going to, again, Henley's been a top 25 machine, you know what I mean, for the most part. He just hasn't, again, been able to do anything better than that and get really up in there. And Bezuidenhout, I think I'm going to be out on him. He kind of disappointed a little bit last week as well with Fitzpatrick. Obviously, he drops in price down to 8K. So for me, guys, in this range, I like Tringali at the top. You go down below, I have interest in Noren, Bradley, and I'm going to side with Mito over Henley in a similar situation, in my opinion.
Yeah, so close, Uncle T. So close till you said that last line. I'm just flip the last one, and we got the same guys. So I mentioned at the top, I don't like much up there. I talked about Answer. I talked about Horschel, Willie Z, Scotty Scheffler. But then I really do. I'm going back after this balanced structure I talk about all the time. Tringali, I like Noren, I like Bradley, and I like Henley. Henley's a guy actually that really pops me up. Maybe I can convince you, but going back, if you look at the correlation courses again, basically all of them, I'll just name some of them because I've been talking about the whole time, but people have mentioned Sedgefield, Harbor Town. Of course, the Sony is well known and how well he does there, and that's one of the biggest correlation courses here. He rates out just huge in the model. So many top 10s across the board, over one of the highest round samples of anybody in the field. And I'm not sure, again, it's only Tuesday. I'm not sure where the ownership's going to lie in the end of this thing, but people always love Mito. It seems he's become more of a household name already for at least the degenerates like us that are all on here playing in the swing season. So it'll be interesting to see. Sometimes guys like Noren, Henley, Tringali, they don't get a lot of love, especially when they're at these price tags. People like them better when they're in the 7K range. So I'm really on those four, but Snyder, what say you here in this 8K range?
Yeah, when I get into this 8K range, like Matthew Fitzpatrick's a guy I can roster when he's under 9K. I mean, I don't think I'll go to him this event, but when he's under that 9K price range, I don't mind him. Cameron Tringali's been one of the better consistent options for us for the last few months. Comes off that second place at the Zozo. He's made all three of his cuts here. 25th is his best place finish, but I don't think I'm going to get there this week. But I don't mind it for some GPPs. Two of my favorite three golfers are in the next two of the next three I'm going to talk about. My guy, Matt McNeely, he's one of my favorite golfers on tour. He's been playing some of his best golf of his career as well down the stretch of last season and comes off that 25th place at the Zozo. His off the tee game has improved quite a bit and owns some solid course history here, but finishes a 12th, 26th in his last two appearances. The iron game coming around for him, which has always kind of held him back, so that's always good to see. Keegan Bradley's always a good target for GBPs. He's got that boom bust upside. Finished 7th at the Zozo, owns some good course history here. He's finished 32nd, 15th, and 8th in 3 of his last 4 trips. Definitely consider him in some GPPs. But one of my favorite guys that I've just been riding hard. He's treated me so well this year. I mean, I've been on him since he first hit the tour. Mito Pereira. I mean, he's definitely paid off for me so far this year. Definitely going back to him here. I love him at this event. I think he can get that first win here. We saw Hovland do it last year. I think his game kind of translates very well to his. Great off the tee, great with the irons. I can see him pulling off the win here for sure. So I'll definitely have Mito this week. I think he's underpriced here. He should probably be maybe even in that 9K range, I think, with the way he's been playing. So I'm definitely going to take him here. And Mito 1 and Maverick 2 are my top 2 guys in this range.
And that's why I waited to end with you, because I'm going right into the segue. Before the segue, though, remind everyone to hit that like button. Appreciate you guys right now. We got a high like to watch ratio, and it's going to continue. I love that. Appreciate you guys being here with us. And if you're watching baseball, Soler, home run, 3-0 Atlanta, just like that. So again, we've got everything for you on this show, this free show on a Tuesday evening. Appreciate you guys being here with us. I want to go right back to you, Snyder. And the reason I knew you're going to Mito, I know you love this guy, and it's fine. He's incredible. Stick with the hot hand. I think it's a great call. He can play good golf. He was 60-1. I saw it as soon as he came out for betting, a number I looked hard at, but there was another guy at the exact same number. He's dropped since. He's also happens to be another Chilean sensation that starts us off in this upper 7K range, a one Joaquin Niemann. What are you doing? Okay, obviously it's PGA DFS. You can play both. But if you could only pick one, would you roll Mito or Niemann? Forget ownership aside. I know that makes it easier because Niemann's going to be popular.
I don't think it's even close with those two. I mean, Niemann has not shown any upside whatsoever. Like if you're looking for like that 20th to 40th place finish, yeah, plug Niemann in there because he's going to finish in that range 9 times out of 10. Maybe I think he finished in the top 10 once last year, but definitely not going there. I mean, I'm looking at the stats too. I mean, you see Mito first in strokes gained, tee to green, ball striking, bogey avoidance, opportunities gained. I mean, he's just over the last 24 rounds, he's just crushing the stats. He just looks to be just a great option for me this week. I can't get away from him.
Man, can't get enough fire out of Snyder unless you're talking Chilean golfers, man. This guy just gets fired up, and I love it.
Oh, yeah.
You made a good point, though. I think this is the conversation. This is where I'm struggling with it. I talked earlier about it is, it's common sense. We want 6 out of 6 lineups. Niemann has missed one cut since August 2020. He's missed one PGA Tour cut. And so at 7,800, it's almost like maybe you just play them both and hope that somehow they're in a Saturday grouping and they feed off each other and they end up the board. I've had this many times where I have this conversation with somebody doing content in this space where we get to this back and forth, and I love the fire. I think you're right. If Niemann, look at his score, 45th, 40, 29, 47. Like it's almost like there's no upside until there is, right? The second places, eating hot dogs with Sergio Garcia at the picnic table instead of warming up and then coming in second and losing in that playoff, making no bogeys, but not getting in it until the 73rd hole and losing in that next playoff. Like, the guy just has to, show a little bit more consistency with upside versus made cuts. So I can't disagree with you, but I've had these conversations enough to know sometimes it comes down to just play them both because the argument is because they're both that damn good. And if you end up getting that upside from them this week, even better. And it's just funny, not because their nationality, but I do think because of sort of they are pinned against each other because of that factor where people are making a choice here, forgetting that you can just play both. And I think that's a really good way to go about it this week is to quote unquote stack them up, if you will, in the game of golf, which not really much stacking besides waves or, stat categories, things like that. But Uncle T, same conversation. Any thoughts on that one? And then if not, I'll let you kick off 7,900 down to 7,500. You can do the guys there as well.
Yeah, I think you guys both, kind of laid out your reasoning perfectly. Schneider's more on the fade side. I'm gonna side with Schneider here. Not because I don't think, what you laid out, Tambo, wouldn't work. Obviously it would. To maybe go ahead and play them both. But like Schneider said, he's clearly underpriced. We all know that. He's one of the 2 or 3 lower or most underpriced guys here. I could easily see him being 85, 86, 8,700. Even though his finishes haven't been that great recently, just off of his name alone in this type of a field. Again, it's pretty heavy up top. And again, we're going to get where maybe down below here, these guys we're getting into, it does drop off here quite a bit. So what I'm getting at is, even though he hasn't been playing that good of golf, I do think he's underpriced. That being said, I'm gonna pull the fade here on him, and I'm gonna go right below him to one of my favorite players on the plays on the board this week, Seamus Power, 7,700. And again, he's had really one bad event in the last how many events? I mean, I felt like last week what was he, 9,200 last week, Schneider? What was he last week? He might have even been higher than that. it just feels like he is, again, another guy, coming off at T12 in Bermuda, T21 at the Shriners. $7,700 feels like one of the more value guys on the board. And he's coming in again with some of these guys. Tambo, you and I have talked about it quite a bit. Schneider, the last couple of weeks. These guys that are gaining more and more confidence. I know I say it all the time, but I do feel like that in golf, where momentum for these guys that haven't seen and had a lot of success on tour, and now they're starting to taste a little bit of success and more consistency on tour week in and week out. I think Seamus Power is one of those guys. So 7,700, I feel like, is a really good value play in this situation. And then going down a little bit lower, Carlos Ortiz. So he's got an 8th and a 2nd here the last couple of trips. I don't know what to do with him. He's one of the guys that has more, along with the guy I'm going to mention here in a minute, Emiliano Grillo. They've got two of the best course history, stat lines, if you will, in the whole field. So I don't know what to do with Ortiz. I'm going to be in on Grillo at 7,500. He's 5 for 5 here at Mayakoba. 3 top 10s and a top 15. That's hard to get away from. I'm only seeing about 11 or 12% ownership on Grillo, so I do like him. I'm going to be out on Poulter. Poulter's a guy that we always try to make work as a value guy or a last piece plug-in. But guys, he hadn't had top 10 since the fourth play, or no top 10 since the 4th at the Scottish Open in July. So he hasn't really shown a ton of top 10, 15, even 20 upside. Really, I know he had a T18 last trip out, but I'm going to pass on Poulter. And Lucas Herbert, he won last week in Bermuda. That's going to be an easy fade for me. I'm definitely not going back there.
Yeah, I like some of those calls there. This is a range I really like. Snyder, I hit you earlier on just the Neiman comment and to go back and forth with Mito, but what else do you like here in this upper 7K range?
Yeah, I don't mind Neiman here. I mean, if I'm going to play Neiman, it's going to be in the 7K range for sure. I mean, he's really consistent. He's got that cut making ability where he's probably going to be there on the weekend, and he does have that upside he's shown a couple times, so I don't mind that. But I do like Uncle T said, our guy Seamus Power. It's another guy I've just been rostering a ton of this year. He's treated me really well, coming off that 12th place finish at the Bermuda, 21st the Shriners. 3 top 10s, including a win in his last 8 events. Definitely like him in this field at a favorable price tag. So I like that. Carlos Ortiz, I don't roster him much, but I feel like this could be a good spot to target him at. Great course history here, 8th and a 2nd in his last 2 trips. His approach play has been getting better too in his last 4 events, so I don't mind that. The decision point I have is right here with Grillo at 7.5. I haven't made up my mind what I want to do with him yet. I mean, his course history here is elite, finishing T15 or better in 4 of his last 5 trips. Should catch quite a bit of ownership out here, I think, just based off that. I'm not sure what I'm going to do with him, as I do like the pivot right below him, a 7.3 CT Pan. He's also got solid course history here. He's shown good upside with an 11th place finish at the Sanderson Farms and a 6th place finish at the Fortinet. The approach play is heating up for him too, so I definitely like the price tag on him, and what I think will be quite lower ownership compared to Grillo. I think when they're both on, I think they're relatively similar to the same golfer. Another guy right here I've been on quite a bit as about the last couple of months, Taylor Pendrith. He's quite underpriced here, I feel, in this low 7Ks. Should see some ownership here as people are starting to gravitate towards him. As he's coming off that Korn Ferry Tour, off that solid 5th place finish at the Ravenna last week. He's gained over 10 strokes total in this event, or in that event. I'll be looking to go back to him this week probably too as a value play. Joel Dahlman's another solid option, I think, at the bottom of the 7K range. Good course history, solid iron player. He can get hot with the putter too, we've seen, so I don't mind going him at the bottom of this range. My top 2 guys in this range will be Seamus Power, and then I'm going to go with CT Pan as my second.
Well, you didn't play by the rules, Schneider. We go 75 to 79.
No, that's okay.
No, tell him when I cut
knows,
it off.
He's watching the time, and he's seeing that we've went a little long, and he's doing.
Yeah, he was. Yeah,
he's doing
he
the
had
best
to get
for us
all
right
those.
now by going through it. Show. Makes it a lot easier. I got this. We'll roll it back. I was gonna say a couple other guys I liked, so that we're all on the power train. Funny enough, all of us were on the Pendrith train last week, a different last name starting with P. This week we're all on power. I think that one makes a lot of sense, so I like him. Ortiz, Grillo. I'm in on Grillo. I think if you go look back at the Sony Open, the Corrales, the RSMs, all the similar type courses are sort of where he finally shows up. He's still not a good putter, but I think that's what's priced in at 7,500. So the rest of the stats are very solid across the board. Opportunities gained, greens and regulation, strokes gained approach. He's got 26 rounds on comp courses and rates out number 1 in approach and number 1 in greens and regulation. So just got to have him make those putts. It's very unlikely, but at 7,500, a made cuts there. And then the upside, if just starts making a few more than usual. Snyder already gave us the bottom of his range. So Uncle T, give us the guys you like 7,400 and down, and then I'll round us out and move us into that 6K range.
Yeah, starting from, again, 7,400 down there, you got a couple guys there that are obviously always kind of popular plug-and-play guys. They're generally, for the most part, in this range. Harold Varner III and Johnny Vegas. Both have been playing well. Both have, I think, a great value tag this week as far as guys that, again, easy plug-and-play guys. I might make a stand here, guys, and it's probably might be one that could determine, I don't know. It could determine maybe how well I do, but I'm going to probably fade both. And maybe it doesn't bother me, guys, but I'm going to fade both. I'll just leave it at that. I like Patrick Rogers right below those two guys. That's probably one of the bigger reasons why I want to fade the guys above them. Coming off of 4th in Bermuda, he had a T6 at the Fortinet a couple, several weeks ago, but it was in the swing season. So I like Patrick Rogers. I don't mind the CT Pan call, but right below him, another guy that he's been awful, full disclosure, Brian Harmon. But at 7,300, it still feels like, and again, he's going through a rough stretch. No, not good course history here, but it feels like he's underpriced by $400, $500, $600. I don't mind Brian Harmon to try to catch lightning in a bottle there, where he can maybe get back on track to where he was at the beginning of this year. Going down a little bit more, Pat Perez, he's a previous winner here. He's only 75 to 1 and he's $7,200. Again, I kind of, like to look at those Vegas odds just a little bit more than most. I don't mind Pat Perez. Taylor Pendrith, Tambo, you and I have been on these since you and I have been doing these shows, and he closed with a 76 last week on Sunday. I think he had a 2-shot lead going into Sunday, shot a 76, which was disappointing. But this guy can play. He's really good, and he gets a huge price decrease down to 7,200. Clearly, by the depth of the field, he got a price decrease. But wow, I didn't think he would go all the way down to 7,200. And Schneider, I'm not seeing a ton of ownership on him. He may garner some as we get into tomorrow and Thursday, but I'm only seeing 4.5% on Pendrith. And if he stays anywhere around there, I'm hopping all over Taylor Pendrith. So. And then a couple guys going down below. I love the Joel Damon call. It just feels like he is a really good fit for a course like this one. And then going down a little bit more, I don't know if you guys will agree with this one. Scott Stallings, 7K. He's another guy that, again, feels like he's boom or bust. He can miss the cut or he'll top 10 or top 15, it feels like. So maybe more of a GPP play for Scott Stallings. But those are a few of the guys I like in that range.
Jeez, man. Here we go. So we got what? We got Pendrith, Power, Pereira, Pan. We got all the P's that you can string together. I think all these guys make a ton of sense in your lineups this week. Another guy, actually a double P down at the bottom that I like, and he likes it here. Let me tell you that right now. Pat Perez, if you want to use all the P's, he's the guy that makes sense to me here. Stats wise across the board. Yeah, you talked about, but just in general, going back just to this course, even it's like you said, it's just so good. So he's good. HV3 Vegas, who you mentioned up top. Harmon is RPS guy. You can always play him. Knox really stands out to me here at 7,300. Pendrith, we're all on him again. So at least Pendrith and Power. Pendrith's the guy I've been riding forever. I've talked about it in the past, the narrative, the storyline of living with Corey Connors and his wife, rooming with them and just, seeing all the success that Corey was having and having one of his, by far the best year of his career, that, you see that success, it just sort of rubs off. Guys at RPS see it all the time. You're in the chat, you're in the shows, you're doing everything with us. Again, you can sign up, RPS Heater 25, get around all those winners, and next thing you know, you're winning too. Birdie Monster himself, Harry, is in the chat right now. Love to see that. 100K winner right here 2 weeks ago. So we always love to see it. And then a couple more boring guys at the bottom for me, Brendan Todd, Brendan Steele. Both of those guys just hit a bunch of fairways that it's almost like the Stallings play. Uncle T, Stallings probably has more upside, but just in general where they can just pop and put themselves there just by natural good play of golf, just standard, put it in the fairway, put it on the green, and they just light it up on the greens all of a sudden, and they're in the mix over the weekend. So Joel Damon, I'm in on. I'm playing a lot of these 7K guys more than this 6K range, and that'll bring us in there. We'll probably go another 5-10 minutes. If you guys got questions, throw them out there. We'll get through this, but 6K range, I'm sticking more to the upper area. I like Tom Hoge at 6,900. A lot of upside firepower there. When you think about it, he actually has a lot of rounds at similar courses over the past year or so and has done really well at this style of course. And then he's got a lot of upside. NYG fan mentioned, is this the event Adam Long does well at? Yes, it is. He does well here for sure. So there's some guys you can take shots with, but not so many. And then Fran Millionaire talked in the chat earlier, said, someone please talk me off Willett. I legit can't. I just think, again, talking about talent, he's not someone you're always going to play, but he literally won at the Alfred Dunhill Links, which is a decent field for overseas. And just to give you an idea, the guys that he beat at the top, T2, Tyrrell Hatton, T4, Shane Lowry, guys like Fleetwood, all these other dudes down below. But just in general, speaking out loud of Lowry and Hatton priced way above him this week. It's just a guy that can pop. We're talking about a Masters champion. It's a long time coming, but I'm just saying in general, he won less than a month ago in a pretty strong field overseas there. So I think he makes sense as well down at the bottom. Snyder, give me some of your 6K guys that you like this week.
Yeah, I've got a few guys down here I'm looking at. Vincent Whaley, we were on Whaley at the start of last year. He had that good mojo rolling and is off that 7th-place finish last week. Could we see another stretch like that where he gets it going again and can string together a few good events? I mean, definitely interested to see, and I'll have him in some builds for sure. Grayson Siggs, another guy, the value we were on last week. I'm going to keep going to him. Did well, 22nd last week at the Bermuda, gained 5.6 strokes total. Definitely don't mind going right back to the well there. Patton Kazire previously won this event back in 2018. He's made the cut in all 5 trips here. I could see going to him in this low range. Bryce Garnett doesn't have the best recent form heading into this event, but the course history here is strong. This could be a great bounce back spot for him in this event, so I like going to him in that low range. Some other guys I could see myself probably going to. Maybe Scott Piercy. You said Tom Hoge. I don't mind him in this lower range. Killer Keith Mitchell. We know the upside he brings. He loves this Bermuda grass. Well, this isn't Bermuda, but it's going to play a lot like Bermuda, so definitely don't mind going there. Danny Willett's fine. Aaron Rise, that Euro guy we've been riding. I'll have to look into him a little bit more. Garrett Hago's right there in that low range. Chris Kirky. We've been on Kirky quite a bit last year. He's in that low range. Don't mind going to him. Doug Gims, great ball striker. Just some other guys I was looking at down here. Ches Reavy. I mean, that looks like a good price tag on him. He ranks first in fairways gained, so I don't mind looking into Ches a little bit. Nate Lashley, another guy down here. Just some GVP type guys you could go to. Doc Redmond's down there, 6'3". Just some interesting guys I have in there, but my main guys are going to be Grayson Sigg and Patton Kazire, and then probably I'm going to go back to Bryce Garnett a little bit here.
Yeah, they're asking if you're going to leave any for Uncle T there, but
Yeah.
I'm running through. It's one of those tournaments, though, man. There's a lot of names that we know and that we see, and everybody likes to play. But then it comes down to roster construction and what are you going to do? If you want to go a bunch of these guys, you have to leave money on the table, or you're going to end up with similar rosters, just the same couple studs at the top. You can get around it quite easily. I just mean in general. I'll probably be at most 2 down in this range. Uncle T, what are some of the guys that stand out for you down in the 6K range?
Yeah, I was going to start off by saying there's a lot of guys in this range, about 30 to 35, but I think Schneider mentioned like 27 of them. So he's pulling a Bobby Gomes on us with 40 guys in his player pool. But no, Schneider brought up some good points. He hit on a lot of guys that I do like. I don't know that you mentioned Charles Howell, but 6,900, Howell's not a guy that I typically play very much. But when I do like to, filter him in some lineups and get him in my player pool is, when he goes back to a track that has treated him well. He's got really good course history here. I don't know that he's got a ton of upside, but at 6,900, if he can get you a top 20 or top 25, I think, I would take that at 6,900. I love the Tom Hoge call. Scott Piercy is an interesting one because he has great course history. In the last 4, 5, 6 weeks, he has not been good, but he does have a T11 mixed in there. So I think for a GPP play, I really like Scott Piercy. Going down the board a little bit, don't mind the Kazire call. One of my favorite plays is Chris Kirky. Not really on him very much either, but again, I keep going back to it though, guys. But 90-1 is all he is right now on DK Sportsbook, and he's $6,700. It just feels like, again, I won't bet him outright at 90-1 down there. I don't feel like that's even enough, down that far on the board. But 6,700 from a DFS standpoint, he's really attractive to me down here. Again, pretty good course history, 6,700. Definitely take it. Right above him, Tambo, Danny Willett. Oh, our boy Danny Willett. Where do I start with Danny? I had him a couple of weeks ago, or was that last week when he shot? I think it was last week, right, in Bermuda. We tried him. He shot a 75 on Thursday and really hurt my feelings. He was on actually my best team, my best lineup, and or what ended up being my best lineup on the weekend. And Willett just didn't get it done for me. So it is a nice flop lag situation for me. If I wanted to go back to Willett, I get it. As far as talent wise in this range, he definitely brings, some interest in there. I don't know if I could do it. Tambo, you're going to have to really convince me. But going down a little bit more, Grayson Sig, I agree. Schneider, it's a guy you and I have been on a little bit recently. He's a good player, 6,600. Ches Reavie, I like him a lot as well, although he's got a couple miscuts in a row, not playing his best golf. And I think the only other guy I'll mention down here, guys, 6,500, Davis Riley. It's one of these guys that you just don't know. He's not played the course before, but I don't know. I might take a stab at a share of Davis Riley down there.
Yeah, the Kirk play we're definitely both on. I really like him across the board. Another guy, almost like I talked about earlier with some of the others with Grillo, where he just pops on everything and on quite a few rounds actually going back. He's just sort of a guy that I always play, underrated in a sense of DFS wise, where he can make the cut. It's kind of like Neiman for cheaper. If you go back and look at the numbers, he makes a lot of cuts, comes in with a lot of top 20s. He's $1,100 cheaper. So if you want to just go down from Neiman to Kirk, you're kind of getting a similar guy when it comes to DFS results and things like that. And he can put up scores. So I just think in looking back at him at this price tag, 48th, 14th, 35th, 48th, 56th, 29, it's literally Neiman for cheaper in this event. So you can go with him. A couple other guys you mentioned, Sig, I like. Garnett, you mentioned, I'm in on him. Kazire, like you mentioned there too, Snyder, not only this tournament, but he's done very well at the Sony Open, which is one of the higher comp courses that goes with this event. So that makes sense. Tyler Duncan's a guy I play often. He's my guy sort of down here that I would go to. You can mix in some of these other guys, but down below 6,200, maybe Werenski at 6,100 could pop. I think he makes some sense, but other than that, not much else. Any other questions you guys have, throw them in the chat. I think we're going to get out of here though. Uncle T, we're going to go around and pick some winners. I'm not sure if you've got your winner yet, but who do you got for winning this tournament? If you're not ready, we can always go to Snyder first.
Yeah, Schneider started last week. I'll give him a minute to take a look. I got mine ready. So up top, it was between Tony Finau. I will say this. It was between Tony Finau and Shane Lowry. I feel like the win is coming for Shane Lowry, but maybe not this week. I'm going to go with Tony Finau, 20-1 right now on DK Sportsbook. I'll take him as my outright winner up top. And then down below, I hope I don't steal your all's guy, but I love Chris Kirk. Again, 90-1 down there, but he's $6,700. So again, I like him down there. Again, maybe not as actually, I shouldn't have probably taken him because he's only 90-1. I just mentioned that I probably won't be betting him from an outright standpoint. So I'll instead go to Scott Piercy, 130-1 at 6,900. Sorry about that. I'll pull a little audible here on the show. And even though I like Kirk, again, from a betting standpoint, I don't think the value is there as much because he's down to 90-1. So.
Yeah, no, I like that. And that's fine. You've given away multiple picks. So you gave 3 winners, maybe. We'll have to see, right? You can
feel like man go now.
Put them all in a DFS lineup instead. They can't all win the tournament, but if they all end up in a playoff, you'll be in really good shape for DFS this week. Snyder, talk to me about your winner. Give me it's a tournament where you could easily see a favorite win this thing, but we love betting those long shots. So maybe do a favorite and then just talk about somebody down the board, even if you don't have their odds right in front of you.
Oh, get off mute, you donkey.
Mute button.
Donkey move.
Cambo, doesn't $50 go into tip jar for us at the end of the every time we do it? $50 in the tip jar.
Rough
really
scene.
Should.
But I'm gonna go with one of my two of my favorite golfers right here. I'm gonna go with what do they call Abraham Answer? Don't they call him the Mexican Allen Iverson? The Answer. I'm going
Yes.
to go with him 16-1. I love that. I think he's going to break through in his home country for his second win. Like him as my overall favorite. And then for my longer shot, I'm going to slide down to a guy I thought was undervalued in the DFS streets, and it looks like he's a little undervalued in the betting streets too, I think. Mito Pereira, he's 60-1 odds. I think those are great odds for him here. He's on the verge of his breakout win, and I'm going to take him to win here this week.
Oh, if I was rude, I would cut you off there, but I'll let you have your spiel. Enough Mito, okay? We heard about Mito. We know he's 60-1. You got him. Give us someone that would be like 100-1, and then we'll get out of here. I just want to someone like your longest shot down the board that you think could ship this thing.
All right, I'm going to go with Grayson Sigg there then at 100-1. I mean, you could go with Patton Kazire. I just ran across him. I can't believe he's 130-1. He's already won this event, so those are pretty good odds there as well.
I always have a soft spot in my heart for Grayson Sigg. You guys know why.
Yeah, so does Big T.
Yeah, nice mustache for you too there. So
that's right.
You can roll that out. I like those calls that you just had. That's the way to step it up. Grayson Sigg, that's the guy to get out there. So I'm loving your picks this week. I'm with you at the top. I don't care that we're the same. Somebody in the Run Pure Discord needs to get the Allen Iverson gif walking over Tyronn Lue with Answer's face on it when he wins this thing and ships it for us, because that's going to be legendary. I like Answer quite a bit. I already bet him this week, got him at 26-1. So I'm pretty happy with that number. I think it's going to be like Hideki at the Zozo going out winning in front of his country. I think we're going to see Abe do the same thing here, maybe by a couple strokes, 2 or 3 strokes. So I'm happy to have him here. And then going down the board for me, it's Joel Damon, 110-1. I think some even got him higher than that, like 120 or 125. But I like Damon quite a bit this week. Again, won at Corrales, not really the exact same course or same style, but just the if there was wind pops up, resort style, able to go low at any given time, can pop up a 62 or something that just really vaults him up the board and gives him that confidence. And now with that win at the Corrales, he'll have more confidence, I think, coming down the stretch, watching his boy Max Homa go out and ship these big boy events and compete in all of them. So I think he's a really good play this week, and I think he's a really good bet this week as well. That's all I got for this week, guys. I think there's a lot of good chat going on. Got likes for days. I appreciate that. Definitely. You guys can always check us out here. We got 2 more shows after this on Tuesdays for the swing season. And then the regular season is just going to be full of shows. So you're definitely going to want to join us. Again, hit the like button, hit the subscribe. If you haven't signed up and you want more where this comes from, you want our core plays for the week once it all gets boiled down on Wednesday evening before Thursday lock. If you want the tiers of everybody we're going in each range, get on over to Run Pure Sports. Use promo code RPSHeater25. And it's not just golf. We're talking golf tonight. I updated you on baseball. I updated you on the injury report for NBA. We've got all that going on. We're, of course, dialed into that. We're monitoring our lineups as we speak on this very show. And you guys can get into the Discord. It's all sports for one price. So get over there and sign up. That's it for this week, guys. For Uncle T, for Snyder, producer Simon, myself. Simon, get us out of here.